What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. With the official drip marketing for Firefly and Jade dropping not too long ago, I think it's very appropriate to have the conversation of what these characters actually do, what their kit is going to look like. Maybe not exactly what they're going to be doing with the exact numbers and everything else, but more of an idea of what kind of character they're going to be. So I'm going to be discussing all of these characters' kits and each of their playstyles to see which one might be the best for you. And I know there's a bunch of characters that are coming out that look super good or super hype, and you might want to be summoning for them. And if you're struggling with Jades and you're a spender, I got something for you. Lootbar.gg is a third-party top-up platform in which you can get Oneric shards or Genesis crystals for Genshin Impact at a discounted price, almost at a 20% discount. That is a lot of money. Check the link in the description, lootbar.gg, to select Honkai Star or Genshin Impact if you're buying for Genshin Impact. In the top right, you're going to paste your UID under UID and select your server. That is all the information they require from your account. You don't need to put in your password, your Hoyo ID, nothing like that. And then over here is where you're going to select what you're going to purchase. In game, it would have been $300. Here in lootbar.gg is going to be $250. So let's go ahead and click top up now. Select your payment method. Obviously, this is going to be blurred out for you. Click pay now. And there you go. The Jades already showed up. I didn't even notice they were there. You can see you can just like transform them like that, you know. Check the link in the description, lootbar.gg. All right, we're gonna go over these kits in regular iSUMMON fashion, starting off with Robin here. Her basic attack is going to deal 100% of physical damage with a 20 energy recharge and a 30 break. Nothing crazy there, just a regular standard basic attack. Mind you, Robin is a physical harmony character, so her skill is going to increase damage dealt by allies by 50%, lasting for 3 turns. That is a lot of turns for a 50% damage increase. Even though the damage increase itself is not that great, not that high per se, it's kind of like Ting Yun's, I think. It's still for 3 turns, which is really, really nice. And then this duration decreases by 1 turn at the start of Robin's turn. So this leads me to believe that you're really not going to need a lot of speed on her. And I'm going to explain a little bit more a little bit later. But it regenerates 35 energy, and the reason it regenerates 35 instead of 30 is because one of her traces allows her to regenerate 5 extra whenever she uses the skill. It doesn't break because it is a buffing ability and not a attacking ability. All right, moving on to her ultimate at 160 is a really beefy ultimate, and what it does is she enters a concerto stage and makes all allies immediately take action. So it's pretty much a Bronya skill, but for the entire party. So there is going to be a little bit of speed tuning that's going to be needed for this to be used effectively. It also increases allies attack by 22.8% of Robin's attack plus 200. So she's going to be attack scaling and not crit damage scaling like Bronya and Sparkle, which is very, very nice. Aside from that, after every attack by ally, Robin deals additional physical damage equal to 120% of her attack 1 time. And the crit rate for this damage is always 100%, and crit damage is set to 150. So this is a extra instance of damage whenever any ally hits the enemies, and it's always going to crit, so it just counts like as a regular instance of crit rate, crit damage. So you essentially, she's DPSing for 120% of her attack every time. This includes follow-up attacks. So for teams with Aventurine, Dr. Ratio, and Topaz and Numbi, which she's probably going to be the best in slot support for, she's going to be doing a lot of damage because her attacks, that little ultimate right here, this little thing, the 120%, is going to trigger a lot of times. Think about it. How many, if for those of you who have tried the Aventurine, Topaz, and Numbi, Dr. Ratio team, how many follow-ups back-to-back do you get on just 1 turn? Each of those hits that you do in that team are going to trigger this 120% hit, which is very, very strong when you add them all together. And lastly, for her ultimate, Concerto appears on the action bar and has a 90 speed. When Concerto reaches the end of the bar, Robin exits Concerto. This is pretty much kind of like Lightning Lord. I'm pretty sure his speed is also 90. So she's going to be dropped down to 90 speed. And then Concerto is going to move up the action bar, and when it reaches its turn, she's going to come down off Concerto stage. Regenerates 5 energy, so nothing crazy there. All right, moving on for your talent, increases all allies crit damage by 20%. Also, after allies attack enemy targets, Robin additionally regenerates 2 energy for herself. So she's going to be because her ultimate is so big, it's 160. She needs as much energy as she can possibly get for herself, and this is very, very nice because if you run her follow-up attack team, which is the team that she wants to be ran in, she's going to be regenerating a lot of energy per turn that triggers follow-up attacks, and those who don't actually. But also there's something that I'm not too sure about, is if her crit damage increases like this one affect her instance of damage. That's something we're gonna have to wait until the game is actually released so I can actually test it out. But in my speculation, it will. If you increase the crit damage, it will increase her own crit damage from her little instance of damage, but this is something that's going to be like a wait and see type of deal. Nothing set in stone as of right now. Her tech is going to create a dimension, and then a start of a wave, she's going to regenerate 5 energy. So this is pretty much for pure fiction and stuff like that, that you have a lot of waves as enemies. She's going to be regenerating energy a lot quicker. All right, moving into her rotations. I haven't really touched her rotations that much. I haven't calculated what would be the optimal rotation for Robin, but in my full Robin guide or full Robin calculation video, I will be taking into consideration her rotation, so stay tuned for that. All right, moving on to her traces. While in concerto stage, all allies crit damage dealt when launching follow-up attacks increased by 25%. This is what I was talking about when I mentioned that she wants to be run as a follow-up attack supporter. She's not exclusively, but she is a follow-up attack supporter. She's going to be the best in slot for follow-up attack teams. I can say that pretty much with absolute certainty. Her next trace, when the battle begins, this character action is advanced by 25%. The only reason I don't like this is because Von Walk is the set that you want to run with her, had she not have this one. Because like now Von Walk is like useless kind of. Or it makes it to where you don't have to run any speed at all on her at all. So I would have to do the calculations on what would be 20% plus 25% action advance, a 45% action advance on Robin. But if she's going to take advantage at 0 speed added, if she's going to take advantage of having 45% action advance, she can go ahead and take a turn and then possibly fire off her ultimate pretty quickly. She will be taking advantage of the 25 plus the 20 from Von Walk. But otherwise, if that is not the case, then Von Walk is kind of wasted. And then she also doesn't really take too much advantage of Penacony set, but you do need the energy regeneration because she has like I said, she has 160 ultimate, so she's going to need it. And lastly, when using a skill, additional regeneration of energy, we already covered this. And then her stat traces are going to be 5 speed. I don't know why it says percent, but it's going to be 5 speed, 28% attack, and 18% speed. Overall, very solid trace package over here. However, I don't know, I'm not too sure about the speed. I would have to run the calculations on it, but like I said, a full calculation video on Robin is going to be coming sometime this week, so stay tuned for that. All right, this is the character that I'm most excited about. It's going to be my homie Boothill. Look at this art looking like Raiden over there. His basic attack is going to deal 100 physical damage, kind of like Robin, same thing, standard basic attack right here. He has an enhanced basic, and he also has, he has an enhanced basic that deals 220% of physical damage to an enemy with standoff. This can only apply to an enemy with standoff. It regenerates 30 energy, and the break is 60, which is pretty nice. His skill makes the target enter standoff, enhances basic attack for 2 turns. So basically, this skill enables the EBA, kind of like Blade, how he does his skill, and then his basics are enhanced. Pretty much the same concept. Enhances basic attack for 2 turns. Boothill and the target can only attack each other, and they both receive increased damage from each other. Is going to be 30% damage increase from the enemy and 15% damage increase for Boothill. When the enemy is defeated or broken or weakness broken, Boothill is going to gain 1 trick shot, and then he will exit standoff. I will explain what trick shot is going to be in the talent. His ultimate is going to apply physical weakness to the enemy first for 2 turns, and then he's going to deal 400% physical damage and delay their actions by 40%. This is an insane ultimate. Like, I don't even, this might be, I don't know, because Acheron's ultimate is pretty high. It's pretty high up there, but this might be the best ultimate in the game in terms of like practicality. You know, it's like having Silverwolf's utility package in the same DPS ultimate. It's kind of crazy how this works, and it doesn't say chance of applying, it just applies it. So there's no effect res check, there's nothing like that. So he's just going to apply the physical weakness on the enemy for 2 turns, and then just hit him with a 400% physical damage and delay their action by 40%. This is crazy. This ultimate is pretty crazy. And on top of that, his break efficiency, or his just break damage. Let me just remove break efficiency because they didn't word it as break efficiency, but his break is 90 on this particular ult, which is pretty high. All right, moving on to his talent. Trick shot is going to increase his break efficiency by 50% per stack up to 3 stacks. It doesn't say break efficiency, okay? It says toughness damage done, which I translate to break efficiency, but if it's different, then I'm going to make when I make the Boothill video, I'm going to explain exactly what they mean. But for now, I'm going to say break efficiency because that is what it reads as, and it kind of suits his playstyle. So you can have up to 3 stacks of the trick shot, which means that you can increase his break efficiency by up to 150%, which for this, it'll be what? 180 plus 45. This will be 235 break damage. And then this will be 60 times 2, 120 plus 30, 150. So this will be 150 break damage, and this will be 235 break damage, which is 200 something break damage. I don't know exactly, but yeah, really, really beefy break efficiency right here. And then once you get to 3 stacks after winning a battle, trick shot is retained for the next battle. So you don't lose the trick shot, which is really, really nice. To gain the trick shots, you just have to break enemies that are in standoff. So whenever you break an enemy or kill an enemy that's on standoff, you're going to gain 1 trick shot. All right, moving on. When the enemy is broken by the enhanced basic, for every trick shot, it deals break damage equal to 70 for 1, 120 for 2, and 170% of Boothill's break damage to the enemy. So if you have 3 stacks of trick shot, you're going to be doing an additional 170% break damage. And the max toughness that this applies to is 480. So the max toughness damage you can actually do, or you can actually take advantage of, is 480. To put it into context, Swarm, the Swarm Disaster bug, has 480 break. So if you can max this out with like Ruan Mei or Simulated Universe buffs, and you can do 480 break efficiency or toughness damage, that's the max you can actually take advantage of. So again, all this math is going to be in my Boothill video in the future. So for those of you interested in that, I will be pulling out a Boothill video after my series of Robin videos. All right, moving on to a stack. When using this skill for the first time, apply physical weakness equal to the ultimate for a number of turns. They didn't specify how many turns, but I'm assuming it's going to be 2 because the ultimate is also 2, and it says equal to the ultimate. So his tech also induces a physical weakness. Is kind of like using Server Wolf essentially. So the first enemy that you are going to put the standoff in is going to have physical weakness. So this is this is incredibly strong. This is what made Server Wolf, or makes Server Wolf, the powerhouse that she is, because she can apply the quantum weakness or whatever weakness to make the team work. So he makes himself work. He doesn't need Server Wolf. That's pretty incredible in my opinion. Rotation, again, I will cover this in my Boothill video. Moving on to his traces. This trace is probably one of the best traces that I've ever seen in my life. This trace is incredibly strong. Increases this character's crit rate and crit damage, and the amount of its increase is equal to 10% for crit rate and 50% for crit damage of his break effect. The crit rate and crit damage can be increased by a max amount of 30 and 150. So essentially, if you have 300 break effect on your boy Boothill, you're going to get an extra 30% crit rate and 150% break effect. I've already done some preliminary pre-farming for this guy because I'm really excited for it. And it's not hard to get 300 if you have Ruan Mei, okay? Because you're going to run him with break effect rope. That's 64. Getting to 300% break effect is going to require a little bit of farming, but not too crazy amount of farming. But he will increase his own break effect by his own crit rate and crit damage by 30 and 150. He gives himself 210 crit value just by having break effect. So for him, break effect is the most important stat to farm for. So for those of you interested, I'm already pretty much done with his pre-farming. You can run the 4-piece thief set, and then max it out with as much break effect as you can. It doesn't matter if you don't reach 300 or not, you're still going to get crit rate and crit damage from it. So incredibly strong trace right here. Next trace decreases damage that this character receives from targets not in standoff by 30%. So if you have a character on standoff, he's going to receive less damage, pretty self-explanatory. And then when obtaining pocket trick shot and standoff, regenerates 10 energy, so he's going to give himself a little bit of extra energy because he kind of needs it. And then his stat trace is going to be break effect 37.3, which is a massive help. Attack 18% and HP 10%. Overall, this is a character that I'm mostly excited about. I love break teams. I love break effect. I'm pretty sure break effect is my favorite mechanic in the game. So I'm extremely excited for homeboy Boothill over here. All right, now to the newer characters. This one's is Jade, okay? Jade is going to deal blast quantum damage. And yes, you heard that right. Her basic deals blast quantum damage. I'm going to assume I'm going to put take this with a grain of salt. So for all of these characters, you're going to have to take all this information with a grain of salt because they're not released yet. But with Jade and Firefly, take it with an even bigger grain of salt, because or smaller grain of salt, because these characters they haven't even gone into beta yet. So more than likely the kit is going to change a little bit, but the core mechanic of the character will probably not change. Jade will still be focused on follow-up attacks, and then Firefly is still going to be focused on whatever that Firefly is going to be focused on, which we're going to cover next. But essentially her basic attack is going to deal blast quantum damage, which is incredibly, I don't know, that basic, just straight basic. Hits 3 enemies. That's pretty good. All right, moving on to her skill. It's pretty lengthy. There's a lot going on in her skill. First thing it's going to do is going to give an ally, including herself. You pick which one you're going to give it to. It gives it this little buff or a mark or something, and that is going to decrease at the start of Jade's turn. When the ally with the status attacks, Jades deal additional quantum damage to enemies. I don't know if this is going to be in a form of a follow-up attack or as an extra instance of damage. We're just going to have to wait and see. They don't say anything about follow-up attack, but it says Jade deals, so I don't like, you can interpret it as you want. I'm going to, hopefully it's a follow-up attack, but I don't think it's going to be. If the ally with the status is not Jade, so let's say she places the status on somebody else, this status will also increase the ally's speed and will consume a percentage of this ally's max HP when the effect is applied. This is incredibly synergistic with characters like Blade, for example. And if homeboy Firefly has some sort of HP mechanic, which we're going to cover in a little bit later, this will also help Firefly. But as of right now, this skill synergizes really well with Blade because you already know how Blade works with Jing Liu. She can kind of like enable Blade to do its thing through the HP consumption. Like I said, these characters are not even in beta, so I don't know the energy regeneration or the break efficiency of the characters, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be the standard 30 here, 20 there. Moving on to her ultimate, deals quantum damage to all enemies and gains a certain number of enhanced follow-up charges. So she's going to work kind of like Aventurine. When Jade performs a follow-up attack, if Jade has enhanced follow-up charges, she will consume one charge to make this attack deal extra damage. So she's going to gain follow-up stacks, and then whenever she unleashes her follow-up attack, she will do extra damage depending on how many stacks of that you have. So that's going to be her ultimate. I'm kind of excited to see what her ultimate is going to look like because HSR has been killing it with the animations, so I'm pretty excited for this one. Moving on to her talent, very lengthy as well. When ally with the status attacks enemies, every enemy attacked will provide Jade with a certain number of credits. When Jade uses basic attack or ultimate, every enemy attack will provide Jade 1 credit. Think of this like Aventurine, but backwards. You know how Aventurine gains stacks for his follow-up attacks when your allies are attacked with the shield? This is kind of like the opposite. The ally that has the buff or the mark or whatever, whenever they attack, or whenever Jade attacks, she's going to be receiving some sort of currency. Also, when Jade reaches a certain amount of credits, she will unleash a follow-up attack, dealing quantum damage to all enemy targets. She kind of works kind of the reverse of Aventurine. So Aventurine, you get hit, you get follow-up attacks. This one, you perform attacks, and then you get follow-up attacks. And then for every enemy that appears on the field, Jade would gain 1 stack of Jadeite, increasing her attack. This effect persists even after the enemy is defeated or leaves. When Jade performs a follow-up attack, she will gain a certain number of stacks of Jadeite. So she increases her own attack. So self-buffing characters are always really good. But like I said, guys, all of this may be subject to change. Out of all the characters, Jade and Firefly are the most subject to change from this video. But as they get updated, I will make sure to let you guys know. All right, her tech applies an effect on Jade and other effects to all enemies. I don't know what this is. That's all the information that I could find. But essentially, she's going to have an effect play out to herself, a buff to herself, or something to herself, and then something to the enemies. Well, I guess the thing is called Nephrite, I guess. When allies with Nephrite perform an attack, Jade will regenerate some energy, so she's going to be getting energy if another ally has the effect or the status or the Nephrite, she's going to be getting energy from that. Upon entering battle, Jade's action is advanced by a certain amount. So this is kind of the same thing as the Von Wack that we were talking about earlier. So she's going to have something like that, which is kind of nice, I'm not going to lie, especially for a DPS character. And then every stack of Jadeite will also increase Jade's crit damage. After an enemy is defeated by an entity, Jade's crit damage will be increased. This effect has an upper limit. So as you kill more enemies or as more enemies spawn, you're going to increase your number of Jadeites, and then the Jadeite is going to increase her attack and also her crit damage up to a certain amount. So she is very follow-up attack focused. She wants follow-up attack teammates. Kind of like, I guess you guys can see a pattern with Aventurine, with Topaz and Numbi, Jade, and then you have Robin as well. All like follow-up is getting a lot of buffs, and I'm all here for it. I kind of regret not pulling for Topaz and Numbi when she first dropped. I was able to get her, but I didn't. And now with all these other characters coming out, I can't justify myself getting her. But follow-up attack teams are looking good. They are going to eat. They are going to eat. And last but certainly not least, we have Firefly or Sam. Their basic attack deals fire damage. I'm assuming it's going to be a regular traditional basic attack. It has an enhanced basic attack that is going to deal fire damage. It's going to heal Sam or heal Firefly after doing the damage. Moving on to her skill is going to consume some HP and deal damage to a single target. And if this attack breaks an enemy shield, it's going to regenerate extra energy. I don't have the information of how much energy Sam is going to need or Firefly is going to need. I don't have that information as of yet, but don't worry. You guys know that I already make I already make these videos, so whenever I have the information, I will make the videos about it. Firefly has an enhanced skill and an enhanced basic. Her enhanced skill is going to heal HP and deal blast damage to their enemies. You obviously blast hits the main enemy and then 2 adjacent enemies. And if an attack breaks the enemy shield, it advances its own action and deals extra damage to the targets. And then this is considered ultimate damage. This is really, really good because of sets like Salsoro that also increases your damage dealt by ultimates. So Salsoro is actually going to boost the enhanced skill, which is really, really nice. All right, moving into her ultimate is going to dispel all the debuffs from Firefly and is going to enter the combustion state. I'm pretty sure we've seen this play out in the Sam fight, that he just goes kind of crazy. So something similar to that, I'm assuming, is going to happen, and it's going to advance his own actions by 100%. So I'm assuming you're going to ult after you do like a skill or something. You're going to do the skill, consume your HP, ultimate, and trigger the enhanced skill or something like that. I think that's kind of how it's going to play out. So a very, very nice action. We already know how strong action advances on DPSs are on ultimate, kind of like Dan Hong at E2. We already know how strong this can be by itself. Moving on to the talent, when in combustion state, increases speed by a fixed amount and increases damage dealt. That scales off break effect. We're going to have to wait and see how much of the break effect scaling this actually is, because if it's massive, kind of like Boothill's, then Sam is probably going to be one of my favorite characters, I'm not going to lie. We're just going to have to wait and see what the actual break effect scaling is going to be, or is going to look like. Reduce damage taken by a percentage of HP lost. Reduce more if is in combustion. So the more HP you have lost during the battle, the less damage you're going to be taking, and it's going to be reduced even more if you are in combustion. That's pretty much what this is. And then when not in combustion, HP changes regenerates more energy based on current HP versus max HP ratio. So any type of HP changes, healing and decreasing HP, taking damage, all of those things are going to get Sam energy, which is something that he's going to really want because he wants to be in combustion state as much as possible to do the most damage. His tech is going to chance to insert fire weakness to all enemies and increase their fire resistance, or decrease their fire resistance, so I should say, and it'll last for a few turns. I'm really liking what they're doing with the DPSs, that they're going to make it to where they are their own silver wolf in a sense. I kind of like that, I'm not gonna lie. And then he's gonna deal fire damage to all enemies right after that. So he's going to inflict the fire weakness and then blast them. So that's pretty nice. All right, a couple notes because I don't have all the traces. The first 5-star fire destruction unit, and depending on how much the break effect scaling is, Sam is probably going to be one of my favorite characters, but also he's going to be, or she's going to be, Firefly is going to be one of the more harder characters to build, kind of like Zui Yi, because you have to build 3 different, like 4 or 5 different stats. You have to build their scaling attack, which is it's either HP or attack, crit rate, crit damage, and break effect if you want to build it like that. It doesn't seem to me like he's going to be really good with crit rate, crit damage. I think he's going to be purely a break effect unit, which is kind of nice. I really like that. So if that is the case, then Sam will be a really nice addition to pretty much everybody's account, especially if you have a Runmei. We're just gonna have to wait and see, get more information on Sam, but Sam is going to be a break unit again. And you already know how I simp for break units. I love break units. Zui Yi is something I use every day. Boothill has me like very like hyped for the game. And then also Sam with the break efficiency. So break and follow-up attack teams are getting like everything. As of right now, there's a few destruction lights. I think there's 2 of them. We have the Misha light cone. When Misha released, there was a light cone that came out that increases break effect for destruction characters and also increases crit rate, if I'm not mistaken. So that one is a really good one. And then we also have one in the MOC shop with also that has Sam on the front. That's also increasing break effect for destruction units. So we already have a few options, and one of them being a fully free-to-play option. So it's also very, very nice. So I think I've rambled enough about these 4 characters. Let me know which one has you the most excited. Let me know in the comment section below which one it is. And until next time, guys, see ya.